It's time to finish the knife sheath. All the parts have dried. So the next step is to dye it, put the locking knobs on it, put the finish on it, put it on the belt and get outside and try it out. This is an antique gel. Some manufacturers call it antique finish. Doesn't matter, it's more or less the same product. It dyes the leather in a dark brown color and also makes it look a bit aged. I usually prefer that instead of a totally even brown or black finish. It has a consistency not far from ketchup or Worcester sauce. Just like that. I'll start with this mounting plate, take the other parts after. Some plastic gloves. I should have put these on before I put the dye on the leather. Of course I have to work a bit quickly, otherwise the color can be a bit uneven. Right. To spread it you can use an ordinary kitchen sponge. I also have this piece of old mattress. They both work. Now we just spread it around. Get it everywhere as evenly as possible. Yeah, it was a bit of a mistake to put the dye on before I had the gloves and the sponge, because now it's soaked in a little bit more. Where I put it you can see like a spine going along the leather. I won't really care much about that actually. This is the back side. Anyway, doesn't hurt to show you how you're not supposed to do things from time to time. And I will dye both sides at the same time. I've never really seen the need to do one side at a time and let it dry and then do the other. You need to be extra careful where there are deep imprints in the leather, like along the edge where the stitching runs, so you really get the dye down in the stitching holes, because it is sort of thick. As I said, like ketchup or Worcester sauce, and it doesn't automatically run down in every small nook and cranny. You have to force it in a little bit. That's that one. Now I'll just do the other piece. You can also just put the dye on the sponge and apply it from there. That's up to each and every one to just try out and decide how they want to do it. As long as you get the dye on there. You need to be a bit careful with the famous ketchup effect, of course. If you don't have a really big piece to dye, then you need a lot, but for small straps like this you might want to take it a bit easy. This dye is great if you're doing decorational work on the leather, because it gets down in all the deep spots, and then when you polish it off it stays there while the rest of the surface gets a lighter finish after the polishing. I didn't bother to film when I did it, but I marked the sheath with the year of manufacture in Roman figures. That's something I like to do. It's a remnant from my time in the historical world, doing medieval and Viking Age crafts. I put it down here, and it's very important to really press the dye into those lines, because it doesn't automatically want to go down there, not necessarily anyway, and that will show quite nicely when I polish it off now, right away before it starts to dry too much. Can't use this anymore, you need a clean one. Now the trick is not having the sponge too wet. Lightly damp is the way to go. And there's a big splosh of water, so I just get a new newspaper. Newspaper, that's a strong term. It's just a lot of advertisement for local stores. This is the best use I find for those kind of papers. Anyway, I'm dipping it in water and then just rubbing it out so it's not wet but moist, or damp really, and then I can just polish it so I don't take too much of the dye away. You can also dip it really carefully and quickly, rub the water all over the piece you're polishing, and then it's also pretty good. You have to sort of just try it and find your own technique depending on what result you want. I guess you can see those stains in the middle here. That's because I put the dye on and wasn't ready to spread it. So that's what you should not do, because you get that. But I'll have to live with that. Certainly won't kill me, just annoy me a bit. Too much water. On the flesh side you really can't rub the color away, but you spread it more evenly with the help of water and make it penetrate a little bit more too. So that's nice. But it's the grain side that matters usually. It's a totally different thing than putting on ordinary penetrating dye, because you can really work with it get it lighter in some areas and darker in others. So it's a little art of its own using the antique finish. I think I'm happy with that. Not so happy with this, but I'm okay with it. I will try to put on another layer here because this side won't show, but the flap turns around and that stain will show, and that is a bit irritating. Try with a second application here. I try to work a bit quickly because the weather is very unstable and I would like to get out and try it outside before the rain starts falling again. I'll let this dry a little bit more before I polish it off, see what happens with that. Yeah, quite a lot better actually. The stain almost doesn't show anymore. Okay, time for finish. There are lots of products you can put on as finish. I'll see what I have in the workshop right now and use that. This is something I happen to have on the shelf. It's a leather conditioner, contains waxes and oils, protects the leather from moisture and prevents it from drying. Just get rid of these dirty sponges. I don't think I need the gloves anymore either. There is a bit of dye on them, so I'll just take that away as well, underwater. I prefer to put this type of finish on with a clean cloth and not a sponge. It's an old pillowcase. This is where old pillowcases and t-shirts and stuff come when they die. Various workshops around the world. These things that you use outside should be treated with some sort of conditioner or wax or oil or whatever you use every time before you take them out, because if it rains the leather can get spots from the water, and if you're really unlucky you will never get rid of those spots. And also, if you have dyed the leather as I have here, the leather can release some of that pigment and stain your clothes. Not so much fun either. Well, that's it basically. You're supposed to be able to buff this a bit when it dries, so I'll just let it dry up and we'll try that and see if there's any difference. But main thing for me is that I have sealed the stain and protect the leather from weather, and yeah. Well, of course, a little bit of buffing always helps, I guess. And when that's done, I'll also put the brass knobs back. And I have a little trick for that that might be handy if you are going to use those knobs yourself. The finish have dried. I have a new piece of clean cloth here. So I'll try to give it a little bit of buffing and see if there's any difference. There's a subtle difference, I suppose. It goes from matte to matte glossy. I don't really like glossy finishes, so that's probably a good thing for me. I'm not mentioning any manufacturers or the different products I use here, since I don't receive any sponsorship or anything. And the thing is, there are a lot of different brands and materials to choose from in the leather world, so you are probably much better off just trying different things out for yourself and see what you like. Nice. Time to put the brass knobs back on. And what I've noticed with these things, rivets and stuff that you screw on to leather, is that they loosen up and can fall out after some time. And there is an easy solution for that. Some super glue in the threads. This is the gel type of super glue. It's not like a liquid, it's more like a gel. You get what I mean. And as I said earlier in the videos, I haven't really been into the leather shop much last couple of years. So I think this might be a little bit old. So it's a little bit thicker than it probably should be. So I put it upside down to allow it some time to run down into the tip. This is obviously totally useless way to store your super glue, because then your tip will just clog up, but I just put it like this now before I started buffing the pieces here. And now I'm gonna try and see if I can get some glue out of it. You shouldn't need a lot, like a drop or two would do the trick. If I can squeeze that out of this old bottle, there is some going into that thread now. Yeah, that's it. Doesn't take more than that. And that will be really useful in the time to come. It will stay where it's supposed to be, not falling off out in the forest. That's how you do it. It would be really helpful if the camera would just stay focused. Shooting with a new camera, so I haven't really gotten the hang of it yet. There we go. That's the last one. Time for assembly then. Short strap and long strap. Short strap goes around the blade. The long one goes around the part where the handle fits. And then it's just a matter of putting the straps through the slots in the mounting plate. As seen in an earlier video, but now it's finished. Much more fun to look at it now. I think so anyway. Don't know about you, but I always like to see things through to the end. There we have it. Knife goes in and the belt loop is in its place. And there it is. Nice little leather project. I strongly suggest you try out for yourself if you feel the urge. Let's see how it fits on the belt now. Okay, to put it on the belt, this is so good. Not having to open your belt and pull it out of the pants, just open the flap, get it under the belt and lock it down. And there we are. I'll probably put some sort of cord in those holes in the tip and tie it to the leg. Or maybe I won't, I don't know. I just put it there if I feel the need for it. This is quite alright, I think. I can draw it with one hand without holding the sheath. That's because of the stiffness of the mounting plate. And it can move a little bit since the belt loop isn't too narrow, so it can follow my movements a little bit. Yeah, like that. Oh, another thing about the rag I was using for the finish. I'm not quite sure what sort of oil is used in that mixture and to prevent any fire hazard I will just torch it to be sure. Probably a good advice to take with you too if you're not sure about what you're working with. Don't take any chances with possible fire hazards. I talked about linseed oil in a previous video, for instance. If that's left in a cloth that dries, it can self-combust. So that has to be put in a in a jar with a tight lid or a bucket of water or something. I always burn it to just get rid of the problem. I'll do the same with this one. And since I want to go out, try the knife a little bit. That's a suitable activity, I guess. Good excuse for it anyway. Let's go outside. It's not the most noise-free spot in the forest, but it's close to our house. And it's nice to have a little fireplace just up on the hill. It's been raining a bit, so it's not as cozy as it's usually up here, but I still like being here. We keep some dry material in this old cookie jar up here to use for tinder. Mostly it's shavings from the wood workshop. There's also a couple of sticks of fat wood in here. That's from pine. Lots of resin in it. I think I managed to hit the rush hour. Lots of cars passing on the road down below the mountain now. Let's get rid of the oil rag. See if it burns at all. Alright, thanks for watching once again. I hope you enjoyed the series. I'm pretty happy with how the knife sheath turned out. Hope you liked it too, and that you'll try maybe to make something similar yourselves. There might be some videos in the future when I'm out in the wild trying it a little bit more. Hiking and bushcrafting. We'll see about that. Until then, this little fire is everything I can offer you right now. If you feel like it, give me a thumbs up, maybe subscribe to the channel. Until next time, take care and be good. Oh, and this is how it fits on the back.